Is this funny? Did anybody laugh at this?
Oh, he's so strong and he fucks people and
he's strong, he's hot, he's wearing a shirt and he's got a thick, drippy cock and everyone loves him. You're like, okay, cool, great.
I don't remember the thick, drippy cock part of the episode.
That's the hard.
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, the show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Pretty Smart. Pretty Smart went 10 episodes with only one season on Netflix. Today we're talking about episode 1, which is called Guess What? Claire's Sister is Coming. Originally airing October 8th, 2021. So to get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me as always, the boys, most of the boys, Ferg, Nick, and Joe. What's going on, guys? No go.
Heyo. Who picked this show?
What? I fucking hated this. Ugh, there's never anything on TV. Fucking check.
I thought you were going to go
I can't be around these people. My brain's going to liquefy. Fucking check.
I thought you were going to go with,
shit.
no, it's just its resting size.
No, because I don't want that dude's fucking... This fucking hurt my brain. Also, fuck you guys, not you, the show people. This episode should have been called Welcome to My Shed Talk. You fucking assholes blew the title of this episode so hard.
This is also one that I was like, oh, it's only 22 minutes long, and it felt like it was an hour.
You know when a show is long is when it's 23 minutes long, and then there's no theme song, and you're like, that was a minute buffer. And now I have to watch another minute of this fucking awful show. Fuck off.
So real quick, I want to remind everyone to go to S1E1pod.com. That's where you can find all the links to where you can listen to us and follow us on social media. S1E1pod on Twitter, X now, I'm sorry, and Instagram. Follow us there, S1E1pod. Send us a nice 5-star review on Apple and prove it to us, and we'll follow you on any social media of your choosing as a way of to say thank you. But Pretty Smart. Guys, to peel back the curtain, when we were kind of going over, we planned a lot of episodes in advance months ago, and we kind of were like laying out like a kind of a 3-4 month block at one point. And I remember specifically thinking, and I brought up this show when I found it and said, we need a show we're all going to end up hating.
Well, fucking good job, dude.
This is literally a candidate for our worst show we've ever done.
You know, I actually don't think it is.
I think Jay likes it. You have a crush on one of these characters.
No,
That's the only
He's
fucking
super
thing.
smiley right now, too.
It's not that. I admit this is not a good show, but I do think there's elements to it where it makes it not the worst show we've seen.
I disagree.
So what you're saying, Jay, is where we all see salad, you see steak? Go fuck yourself. I fucking can't stand you right now.
Okay, that was one of the only lines that actually made me laugh.
I like that.
It's like, how I hate the character that like, oh, they're too dumb to function. That's every fucking character on this show. Every single one of them.
I'm going to assume no, but leading into this, did any of you guys watch Pretty Smart ahead of time?
Never heard of it.
I thought it was old too. I didn't realize it was a new Netflix show until I put it on today.
A couple years ago, though. It's not like brand new. It came out 2 years ago.
I think you might be thinking that, Ferg, because I thought the same thing because of Get Smart.
Maybe. I don't know. No, because I like Get Smart.
Yeah, well, you hadn't watched this one yet, so you didn't know what you thought about it.
Also, is Pretty Smart supposed to be like, I'm pretty and she's smart?
100%, yeah.
Yeah,
but she's also pretty too. These are pretty people. You can't do that. There's even a scene in this too where she's like, I love to live with your sister. You're not the pretty one, smart lady. It's like, they're pretty people. Also, who said, let's get the star of Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2 and 3, not 1, star of 2 and 3, and develop a show around them? Who is making...
First of all, the star of Beverly Hills Chihuahua is Cheech.
That's true. Cheech is one of the greatest people of all time. And Born in East LA should have been a gold record.
I wish he was the sister in this.
You know how much better the show would be if Cheech showed up?
Be way better.
A lot.
And again, not to confuse anyone with the movie from 1987, Pretty Smart. But yeah, listen, we've covered our fair share of Netflix original sitcoms, and they mostly don't deliver. We've had limited exception to the rule.
I know the only good one was Mary Happy Whatever.
Stop it.
That was so bad. Even Dennis Quaid couldn't save that show.
We've talked about it. I think, we've gone over this way back. So to kind of reiterate, one thing I think is wrong with the whole Netflix model of sitcoms is they're not doing it in the traditional style because they're putting out a whole season at once. So they're not testing it in front of audiences the same. There's no, what do people like? What do they don't like? How do we adjust moving forward? They make the whole season and they just put it out. So if it sucks, it's just going to suck the whole way through.
And this did because it only got one season.
Yeah, I've never felt more like, well, duh, what it was like, and was canceled after 10 episodes. Like, oh, and people didn't want to see this?
Well, most of the Netflix sitcoms, I mean, how many of them get additional seasons?
I was going to ask that. Did any of them go
Mr.
multiple?
Iglesias got more than a season.
Mr. Iglesias got 3, and update, by the way, I watched all of Mr. Iglesias. It sucked us in super hard. Yeah. It's the X-Files, X-Men song. Mr. Iglesias. But it ends so unsatisfyingly, and I hate when that happens.
Because they expected another season.
They expect another season, and it ends not like that, and that was a super bummer. But that went 3. Glow went 3, I think.
But I don't consider that a sitcom.
That's not a sitcom.
So Mary Happy Whatever that we covered went 1 season. The Big Show 1 season. The Crew 1 season. Country Comfort 1 season.
Oh, you know what went multiple? The Ranch. Ranch, I think, went...
Oh, The Ranch. Yeah, we haven't covered The Ranch yet.
The Ranch is the show that I hate watched all the way through.
Me too, because there were people, I mean, like, you're like, well, I love Sam Elliott, and I love the idea of Danny Masterson driving off a cliff. Like, there are certain things in this that I do appreciate.
I knew you were going to say Sam Elliott. I knew it.
He's great in it. He's the one shining light on that show.
It's like, well, why don't put the guy from Roadhouse and the woman from Officer and a Gentleman in a show, and then have the love interest be Lou Diamond Phillips? You know I'm going to be there for that.
I do love Lou Diamond Phillips.
Going over some numbers, IMDb had this show clocked in at a 5.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 40% critic, 70% audience score.
That right there is why I don't understand.
That's why you can't trust Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's proof of the, like, people are writing in and getting paid for it bullshit.
So now, I was going to get into it as we went into the episode, but since Ferg brought up Mary Happy Whatever earlier, a show that we covered before, the Christmas-themed sitcom that Netflix put out, listen to our episode on it. Most of us didn't think it was good. Ferg did genuinely like it. Ferg, the reason that you like it, which was incorrect, it's not satirical.
It's definitely satirical.
I think is a little bit of the case of this show here, though. I think there is a little bit of satire going on with these characters.
I don't think so. I think that's just the way the world is right now, and they were dead serious.
What is it being satirical of is the question.
Because they're all made to be dumb. Like, it's not like they're all influencers and, like, weightlifters and stuff, but they're all, like, super cool, grounded people. Like, they're all, like, made to be idiots.
Yeah, I don't think that's satire. I think that is just the sad, depressing, dark cloud that hovers over the world we live in 2023.
I'm just upset none of you have ever bought me a shed.
I would love a shed. You know what the greatest thing about a shed is? Less lawn to mow. You get a cool place to hang out, way less mowing. Way less raking.
Well, Ferg, you're the only one who has a shed.
I don't have a shed, I have a garage.
Is it a garage? Could you put a car in there if it was empty?
Yeah, that's why one of them's like a big barn door thing. I think it used to be one, but...
Yeah, but there's like a 1.5 foot step up into it.
That's the left side. The right side is a big barn swinging door.
Oh, that's right. It is separated. Yeah.
Well, so yeah, to just clue people in before we get into the episode, I mean, the basis of this show is there's 2 sisters. One, the smart one, moves across the
You
country.
waited so long because even your brain was like trying to delete the data that had been downloaded about this show.
No, I want to clue people in what the basic summary of this kind of show is before we get into it, because I don't think most people listening are familiar with the show or watched it.
No, that's
So,
not right. There's no way.
There's 2 sisters. The smarter of the 2 moves across the country. She's going to be moving in with her boyfriend, but until he gets there, stays with her sister for a few days, who's much more pretty, lives in this world of her friends are all influencers and...
See, that's where I disagree with there. I don't think she's prettier. I think they're both very pretty women, and that's what is weird about this. It's the classic, like, the nerd took her glasses off thing, only
Exactly.
she just shows
That's
up
what
and
they were
she's like,
going for, yeah.
it's your hot sister. It's like, oh, okay.
I actually think the nerdy one's prettier, but I think she has an ugly personality.
She's got a real Reese Witherspoon vibe, doesn't she? Or is that just
She
me?
does.
I can see the
feel it.
Reese in this, yeah.
She had a look that I was like, I know her from somewhere, but I don't think I know her from somewhere. It was
Again,
weird.
it's Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3. I'm pretty sure that's what it's from.
Was that it, Jay?
I can tell you, I definitely did not see that.
Until right now, I didn't know Beverly Hills Chihuahua was a thing. What the fuck is Beverly Hills Chihuahua?
It says known for on IMDb, Hannah Montana the movie. Have not seen that. A couple Spy Kids movies. I haven't seen those.
I've seen all those.
Cyberbully. Haven't seen that. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible that she popped up in a show or something that I've seen, but I don't know. Whatever her main roles are, none of those are flagging me.
There's a lot of like modern stuff and like Disney stuff in this cast, but like some people showed up, like the dude who plays the main guy in it. He's in like an episode of Lopez versus Lopez. He's British, by the way, which
Always surprises me.
yeah, good accent work. I will say though, it's no offense to that guy, but his one thing was like, I think my best work I ever did was on this show, and I hope it gets a second season. I was like, is there a gun to your head making you say these words?
I saw that, but you have to remember that they are promoting the show.
You're doing promos, I get that.
But to get into the episode itself, so the show starts and we see two guys in the living room. One's shirtless and like lifting weights, that's Grant, and the other one's like glued to his phone. He has a phone case with a picture of himself on it. That's Jaden.
I didn't even track that, and I
Me
fucking hate
neither.
him so much more now that you noticed that. Holy fuck.
I'll say this, and I don't want to upset any of you who may do this, but I noticed at my job, for whatever reason, I noticed a lot of people I work with, the backgrounds of their phones are like nice photos of themselves, but like not with family, like of just themselves, and I find that to be very strange.
Wait, what photos?
Like the background of your phone,
Like your lock screen in your background.
you
Okay.
select just a nice photo of you, not like you with your parents or a girlfriend or your child.
That is super weird.
And I've seen so many people do that there. And every
Wow.
time it like raises my eyebrow. And I'm like,
I
what?
like barely will look at myself when I'm brushing my teeth. I can't even imagine looking down at myself 100 times a day.
It's the Tom Haverford. Like, you know, like,
Would you
how'd that
say-
get there?
Would you say it's 50-50 male-female or more? I would say that probably
Mostly
more female.
females, but I've
All
seen
right.
some guys do it.
I find that very, very strange. It's like, you know when by accident sometimes you flip the camera around on your phone, like you're going to take a picture and all of a sudden it's your big dumb face and you're like, who is this monster? Like imagine seeing that 1,000 times a day. It's also why I won't set up the facial recognition thing, because sometimes it shows your face. Like I don't need to see that. I don't need a mirror looking back at me.
So early impressions, as soon as you see this first shot, you see the guy lifting weights, you see the other one with his phone in front of his face.
I wrote mine in this like it was an actual script. I wrote exterior, house, inside, 2 shitheads, 1 lifting weights. That is what I knew the next 22 and a half minutes were not going to be fun for me.
It was very cartoony to see like the one lifting weights like that, especially.
It felt very. It's funny you said that they're from a lot of Disney Channel stuff, because it felt like some of the Disney Channel sitcoms that like I remember my kid watching when like he was younger.
It does seem to feel, I agree with you, it feels like you have that
100%,
Disney
yeah, I
style
agree.
thing, yeah.
It's got the like the iCarly vibe to it.
Yeah, like early Nickelodeon / Disney, but it felt like they took that humor and tried to do it for the next, like grow up with those people.
Right.
But they kept that kind of humor, made it a little more adult. It just sucks.
The one sitcom thing I'm glad they kept, though, is there's 4 of them living in this house, and they all seemingly just have, like, fairly not super high-paying jobs, and they've got a 5-bedroom house in downtown Los
I don't know,
Angeles.
dude. Influencers make a lot of money.
I mean, I guess I refuse to believe that, but I understand that it's true.
There's no logic behind that. I mean, they do bring it up. They say, what does she say? She's subletting from somebody who was subletting's dog walker or something like
yeah,
that.
there's like
House sitter.
they do touch on it, and I
But you
will
have to pay
say,
the same, the rent is still the same. The rent's still going to the same person.
but you know, as much as you want to knock on a show like this, just because it's not a great show to begin with, it's one of those things that kind of exists on many shows.
That's what I was saying. I said it's a sitcom thing. At least they do, which is the inexplicable group of people like Friends or something where you're like, this $5 million a month apartment is run by a bunch of people who are baristas and failed actors. Like it doesn't
But
make
that's
any sense.
explained on Friends. On Friends, it's her grandmother's rent-controlled apartment.
Okay, so that does make sense. I don't think that exists in Los Angeles right now. And this show's modern too, so I mean, we all know what rent is right now, right?
Next enters Claire, who's the pretty of Pretty Smart, according to title. And she's really excited because her sister's supposed to show up any minute, tells the guys that they're going to love her. She's been in college ever since high school. Yep.
What does that mean? Did she get into college early, or was she just really good at high school?
And just so you guys know, the character of Claire is an extremely bubbly, I don't want to say ditzy, but kind of ditzy, but super bubbly, happy character.
Yeah.
Not intended to be the smartest of the two.
I don't think that was supposed to be taken literally. I think she was just saying she was grown up even when they were young. I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't give her that.
Yeah, I don't think it's meant to be it was just a poorly written joke.
We also meet the fourth roommate, who's a girl named Solana, who apparently is very into like crystals and things of that nature.
She's like a crunchy granola lady.
Right. And Claire talks about how excited she is to have her sister Chelsea stay with them for a few days until her boyfriend gets to town. And as soon as she said that, I went, okay, I know where this is going. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously there's going to be a problem with the boyfriend, but
Guess I gotta stay.
They telegraph everything they're doing in this episode, but they did do a good job because there's one thing where I was like, well, I know where this is going, and it didn't happen, and I'll get to it when it happens. And I was actually surprised that they didn't immediately go for the easy thing, but we'll get there.
And we also find out that these two sisters kind of drifted apart after their parents split up. We don't know exactly how old they were, but she does make it known that her and her sister haven't been close for some time now. There's the talk of how the plan is now to be sister best friends forever. SBFFs.
Next tattoo. That's the group tattoo, boys.
I'll get that.
It'd be funny if that was the thing we all got and had to explain until we were 80.
Sorry, how old are they supposed to be? Like range?
Oh, one says it at one point.
I think that you're supposed to understand that she's gone through... Well, actually, I looked it up because she mentioned something about being her 7th birthday, and I wanted to know how old she was on her 7th birthday because I needed to mentally figure that out. So she was born in 94, the younger sister, so she's 33.
Okay.
Jesus.
Wait, no, 29 now? Should be 29, yeah.
Well, yeah, this episode, remember, came out a couple years prior, so getting close to 30.
Yeah, so one was under 30, one was about 30. So I think we're to assume that Chelsea had gone to college and then grad school and like masters, all that bullshit.
I just asked because they all talk like they're teenagers.
Right. Oh, well, yeah, that's part of the shtick.
It all seems like the kind of character who's in school for like 20 years inexplicably for no reason and doesn't have, like, would have such crippling debt they couldn't do anything ever. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're a doctor and you go to school for 15 years in college, you're set up to fail pretty much immediately.
So the doorbell rings and Chelsea shows up. That's the other sister, the smart part of Pretty Smart.
I wish we were watching the other sister. That'd be a lot more fun than watching this.
So she thanks her sister for letting her stay there and says, you know, I got you a Victorian tea kettle, but it broke at the airport, so I got you this I Heart LA traffic mug instead. And the sister's like, oh, it's beautiful.
I have a lot of comparison stuff this episode, by the way, because I just had to keep myself occupied. Average price right now for Victorian era tea kettle that would be breakable, that is about $80, and an I Heart LA traffic mug is about $11. Just so you have a price range.
So that tea
Good
kettle isn't quite as expensive as you would think it is.
Yeah, no, not so much. I think when you go into the Victorian ones that are like pewter or, you know, like made out of metal, they're a lot more expensive. I think maybe not. I don't know why. I don't know much about teapots, but you can go down a deep dark rabbit hole of how expensive they are. And I was on Etsy for like 25 minutes looking them up.
So my thing is, I would have preferred if she actually gave her the tea kettle and you just got like a joke like, who's Victoria? Or doesn't know what to do with it. Like, you know, doesn't know how tea kettles work. I thought this whole, I got you a nice gift, but it broke, so I got you this stupid shit instead, like, didn't land, and it doesn't really do much for the character, you know?
Also, like, the most annoying sketch in Saturday Night Live history in the past, like, 20 years is the fucking Californians, and there's nothing more aggravating.
I like the Californians.
I like the Californians. It's the only funny thing they've done in a long time.
And people talking about traffic in LA is the most, like, overused joke of all time.
What are you doing here?
The 405!
Devin? I find that. I like the Californians. Chelsea's complimenting her sister on the place. We haven't talked about it yet. This in detail. This place looks amazing. It's very modern, very like put together.
It's one of my biggest biggest pet peeves on sitcoms. It is Joe kind of touched on it already too, but yeah, it's so wildly perfect that it's just. What do you think this would seriously? I don't know what part of Los Angeles they're in specifically, but it kind of doesn't matter. Like
5 bedrooms. I have to say $4,000 a month at least.
more. 5 bedrooms here would be $4,000 a month.
Right.
There you're probably talking like 7.
It's one of those things. There are times where the sets look very lived in, and we always applaud that. You look at a show like Rosen, and it looks like a real house. But for these types of characters, this is what their house should look like. So, like, I get it.
Why? What about these characters screams neat and tidy? From any, well, maybe one of them, but like, I don't know. The other two don't seem really.
Because they all live this like picture perfect world in life. Like that's
why they
I don't
needed
like
a
it.
lovable butler and make him British, and he could keep everything clean. And I could
This what
love
bothers
him.
me about it, and to give credit even to some shows I don't like. Big Bang Theory, right? 2 roommates, other girl lives across the hall, friends, 3 different apartments, right? These people are almost 30 or in their 30s. You're well past a point where you're going to have more than like one roommate. You don't want to be living in this big communal 5 people who didn't do the dishes. Like, you never see that aspect of things. And a bunch of us, I think everyone here has lived in apartments with like multi roommates. Imagine doing that now with more than one other person, right? It's pretty chaotic, and this is not going to happen with these people.
Yeah.
well, they are a little younger than us.
I know you guys just talked about it, but did they get into specific ages? I missed that.
We talked about it. We're to assume they're all 30, a little shy of 30.
Okay, I was gonna guess younger than that. I was gonna guess like 24-ish, but I guess.
I
it
mean,
doesn't
again,
matter.
who knows what their age acting is, but like the main girl's age, the younger sister girl, is like 29 now, so I would say like 27 then.
Got it.
Claire excitedly shows her sister that she set up a puffy paint t-shirt making station. And I remember I had one when I was a kid that I got at Canopy Lake, which is like a little theme park in New Hampshire. But it was like a weird one where you put that like puffy paint, but like they would spin them.
Yeah,
And it would like make crazy designs. Yeah. And I just remember when I was a kid thinking it was cool. It was a white t-shirt, but I loved it because I felt kind of like it was a Nasty Boys t-shirt.
Oh yeah, all the paint splatters.
Yeah. And I mean, these things, those were popular in the day. They still exist. I feel like usually when you see like groups of like a bunch of girls going to concerts, they use these things to like make custom t-shirts to, for whatever they're seeing.
Yeah, or you get them airbrushed, or like I've made a million things with like iron-on letters or like spray paint stencils and things. You can do fun stuff for like one-off projects pretty easy.
But you don't deal with the puffy paint pens?
No puffy paint pens. I'm such a psycho about stuff that I need like symmetrical lines. Like the last thing I made was a tote bag, and I went and bought a new tote bag. I bought a bunch of the letters. I spent like 2 hours iron-on lettering it so it would be all together. But then a bunch of letters fell off, so it did say something, and now it does not say what that was anymore.
What was it supposed to say?
Take a Quaalude now.
Oh.
So it's
Yeah, now it's just like Twakalada.
How often do you go out with the tote bag?
Pretty often, actually, because I'm usually just going to the grocery store or to like run errands. Tote bags are just like the easy, because you can't do bags here anymore. I don't know if you can in Boston anymore.
No, they're pretty bad everywhere, but it's just I don't know, man. Every day you're more and it's Joey Deschanel in his tote bag on the way to the farmer's market.
I don't go to the farm. I go to the grocery store. There's usually just a shitty domestic beer in it. Leave me alone. But if you go to the grocery store, they don't give you bags anymore. You have to bring bags with you.
Fresh rhubarb.
I don't think you've ever actually had a rhubarb before. So you can go buy yourself some.
my own tote bag. Let me go to the farmer's market.
So Chelsea kind of shoots down the idea of making these t-shirts, and
Rhubarb.
she wasn't mean about it, but like you can tell Claire's disappointed, and she's trying to not hide it. My problem was with these characters, even you see kind of the vast differences between them, and we've already met the other roommates. It's just I think, bear with me, I think this show could have worked if they dialed all of these characters down a bit.
Yeah, they don't know. None of them have layers. They all just have one personality trait, and that's their
Yeah,
whole
it's like a
fucking
little
personality.
too cartoony. If they dial these down, like the premise of the show could work. It's a pretty regular sitcom kind of idea.
Which one of you is going to continue to watch this show even though you hate it? Because
I'll
you're
probably
all
watch the whole thing.
okay. You all seem to do that.
No, Jay doesn't watch anything good that we do. Jay will always be like, I'm gonna try to find time to watch this. It's a really funny show.
Yeah,
This is
I
a
know.
classic show that everybody loves. We'll never watch it, but he will hate watch the rest of this because I'm still
Yeah.
convinced there's some weird crush scenario going on here, which is holding you back from totally hating the show.
I
I
watched
hate
all the Big
watch-
Show.
Whose
wa-
DMs will you be in later tonight? That's what I want to know.
The Crew was one that I hate watched all the way through. Same with Country Comfort.
I actually meant to normal
think any
watch the
others.
Crew.
Yeah, I kind of normal watched The Crew, but I definitely hate watched Country Comfort.
So Claire then introduces her sister to Grant, who she used to date, but they had a mutual breakup, and now they're just roommates. And she's like, "Oh, how French?" He's like, "Actually, Nebraska," because he's a big dummy.
Because everyone's fucking stupid. Isn't that the joke? Lol, 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 lol.
And she gives him a hug. Wow, you're very shirtless and hard. And that's when he's like, "No, it's just resting size."
Is that why you like the show? There's a dick joke.
Don't pretend you don't find the boner joke funny.
For context, she wasn't saying that he like felt hard. Like he's very muscular, and that's what she was saying.
She was saying
Yeah.
he felt hard because of his muscles, yes. And then he's
Right.
saying, "No, it's just its resting size."
'Cause he's just wearing, like, track
referring
pants.
to his dong.
Yes. Come
Yes.
on. I think it was a little weird when we got some of the backstory to the other ones. Like the girl Solana used to be a lawyer, but quit to become a healer. Like, when did she pass the bar?
I wouldn't pass a bar watching the show. I would stop at every single one.
She studied bird law.
Jaden, the influencer of the Crew, known as Jaden JJ Michael Jang,
Now, pardon me, at Jaden JJ Michael Jang.
when he's promoting himself, Chelsea's like, "Oh, I'm not on social media." And he's like, "How do you check your likes?" See, this is why I think it is a little satirical at this point. They are,
No, I think that's a genuine thing that the people who this show is made for
but they're
genuinely
making
care about.
fun of them for being consumed in that.
But it's for the same people, so I don't think they're being meta.
Yeah, you're giving this show way too much credit.
No,
Jay.
you gave Mary Happy Whatever too much credit.
'Cause it
and
was
assuming that was
satirical.
satirical.
No, I would say if I had to pick, this one's closer to being satirical than Merry Happy Whatever for
It's
sure.
not a satirical off, all right?
But I don't think that either of them are.
So in the next scene, Chelsea and Claire are in Chelsea's room. And she's trying to drop hints to her sister, Chelsea that is trying to tell Claire like that she wants to be left alone and have some time to herself after a long travel day. Claire's not catching on. She's like, "Come on, jump in the bed with me." And when she does, there's like a creaking noise, which like flags Grant's attention. And then Grant runs in out of nowhere with a toolbox. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." And they're doing this gag where he can keep lifting the bed with the two of them on it without effort so he can fix, underneath the bed.
To what end? Is this funny? Did anybody laugh at this?
Oh,
To
he's
what
so
end?
strong and he fucks people and he's
Yeah, he's strong, he's hot, he's wearing a shirt, and he's got a thick, drippy cock, and everyone loves him. You're like, okay, cool, great.
I don't remember the thick, drippy cock part of the episode.
That's the hard.
Joe, man.
He had a threesome, I imagine, and he did not shower. I imagined it is a little drippy.
So now the two girls are playing Truth or Dare at Claire's request, and she starts by asking Chelsea how she met her boyfriend. Chelsea goes on to say that they were both in the same 15th century comparative South American literature across multi-epic diaspora migrations class. I tried.
I was so happy when that happened that I was like, I don't have to fucking write this down. I just know Jay's got like a transcript of the episode somehow.
There was no transcript. That I had to listen to a few times, unfortunately.
Weird, no transcript? People don't like the show enough to
Yeah, there was no
transcribe
transcript.
the
I looked.
episode?
I looked. I had to do all this from scratch today. I did find it a little funny when her sister heard her wrong and called it a diaper migraine. But as Chelsea's going on and explaining to Claire, the situation between the two and how they met, Claire's really excited and she's like, "Oh, it's like so awesome that you have a boyfriend that like supports you and helps you pursue your dreams." But kind of the reality of that situation we find out is Chelsea's really been helping him with his dreams all along, and this is kind of the first time she's going to be doing something on, for herself, because he got a job at LSU. She's moving out here to be with him.
Not LSU.
LSC.
SCU.
SCU? Did I write it?
Yeah.
I got you at, I'm sorry, USC.
I'm sorry, USC. And do you know why that college is famous,
What the
right?
fuck, guys?
Jeez, how many acronyms?
I only know that college for one reason, because that's where O.J. Simpson went, which immediately tagged to me that this guy would be a bad guy, and it's a good thing they got divorced. Otherwise, her and her waiter friend would have been murdered by them about 20 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
It is the most logical, path.
It makes about the same logic the rest of this episode does.
She's going to be writing her book while he's working at USC.
Her book, If I Did It, would be the book that she was writing.
Again, I think there's a little bit of a alert here, because it was, again, every time she brings it up, it's like, oh, first, oh, he's going to meet me any day now. And now we're already finding out that, she's kind of been putting all the effort into the relationship. Like, they're dropping these little hints all the way, through. Now, Grant says, in reference to the two of them, having truth or dare time up on the top of the bed, he goes, wow, it's like you've been sisters your whole life. Chelsea says that he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, which he takes kind of literally, and says, I don't even have a shed. And then
He goes, it's not supposed to be sharp, it's a hammer.
All right, listen, but if we want to get specific here, not specific, but for the older sister, they have not been sisters their whole life.
no,
I guess that's
technically
true.
no.
Now, here's a question. We haven't covered How I Met Your Mother, right?
No.
No, I'm sure that's a big one. We'll cover that.
I know it's a big one.
Really?
So one of the guys who's the creator of the show wrote like 50 episodes of How I Met Your Mother. So I was wondering, is the writing on that show as abysmal as this? Like, was this like a weird David off day? Did he have the flu?
Well, I don't want to tip my cap before we cover that show, but yes, it's that bad too.
Okay, fair enough.
I haven't watched much How I Met Your Mother. I've seen a couple episodes in passing. I know it has a giant fandom.
It has good stuff. It's not as bad as this.
I kind of hate watched that entire series.
I have never seen the pilot though, so when we cover it, who knows? Maybe I'll greenlight it, maybe I won't. But
Time will tell.
time will tell.
But yeah, he's caught up on the shed thing now, at the realization that he doesn't have one. So the next scene, Chelsea's at this restaurant kind of cafe place where Claire works, and Claire's telling her sister about this 11-day relationship she had with a guy named Justin, talking about it like it was a long term, like 11 days was like significant. I kind of felt like this should have been her talking about her relationship with Grant. I don't know why they made it about some other guy.
So if that's long term, I wonder how long she dated Grant.
Yeah, I assume not long.
Yeah, I mean, if 11 days was like a relationship she considers a like long term, it got so boring thing, I imagine that her and Grant were only a few days, maybe?
I actually wonder if they ever get into her and Grant, because if they brought up the fact that they dated for that one single, oh, that's so French joke, that's the dumbest thing in the world, right? Like,
No, because there's a big time at the end of the episode. We'll get into
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say, if the last thing
okay,
at the
yeah.
end would make me think they have to go
my
there.
brain is
or
already
maybe-
erasing.
I bet when they were writing it, they were like, we're going to leave this for episode 1 of season 2. We'll leave them hanging on a cliffhanger, and then we'll tie it all up and make the whole second season about it.
No, what's gonna happen in that last episode is he's gonna kiss his sister, and then she's gonna walk in and be like, "What?" And that'll be the
It'll
cliffhanger.
be the big cliffhanger for the non-existent season 2. So Claire's boss, Howard, walks up and reminds her that she's supposed to be waiting on customers. And she's like, oops, I forgot, and like runs off. And when she's gone, Howard's telling Chelsea that Claire's the worst waitress they've ever had, but customers all love her. And then takes note to the fact that Chelsea's reading a book. He's like, oh, I'm a bit of a bookworm myself. And she's excited because she needed someone to help stimulate her with, conversation. And asked if he had ever read whatever it was she was reading. He's like, oh no, hadn't got to that one yet. Just started reading the Da Vinci Code.
Remembrance of Things Past, which is by the way, it's like a 4,000, it's Proust. It's like a 4,000 page, like, depressing novel in like 7 parts. It's like one of those things that is like a college book. People don't really read it for fun, you know what I mean?
I really thought he was gonna go with like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or
Yeah, I thought it was
Twilight,
weird
like-
that she kind of rolled her eyes at the Da Vinci Code. I mean, you cannot be a fan of the series, but I mean, it's kind of well renowned as an interesting book, isn't it? Like,
It's also the sequel to another book.
Angels and Demons. Right?
Yeah, it's the first
Yeah.
one. I will say this is really interesting. Yesterday on the news, they were talking about, on CNN yesterday, they were doing a story about, there was some like thrift store in Wales who like put a sign up that said, please stop donating copies of the Da Vinci Code, because they kept getting on average like 1 copy a day, and they just had so many of them that they were like, we don't know what to do with this many books or whatever. So some guy went and got like as many as he could. I don't know if it was like 6,000 or 8,000 copies and like pulped them and then used them to print like a new edition of 1984. So like, I mean, again, 2 books that I think are very much annoyingly overrated, brought up in culture, but weird that was a story that was in the news yesterday that I read.
Did a movie with Tom Hanks is the star of the movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is in the movies
Yeah.
of those, yeah. The Ron Howard
Everything he
movies,
does
too.
is good, so
I've never seen the movies. I kind of want to, but
I haven't either. I've seen most Tom Hanks and most Ron Howard, but not that one.
I saw Da Vinci Code. I didn't see Angels and Demons.
So after Howard walks off, all the roommates walk in and they sit with Chelsea, who is, really excited that she finally thought she was going to have a moment alone. Grant tells her how he triple checked and they don't have a shed and it's been weighing on him all day. It all goes back to his dad, who would get on him for not putting his toys away, so he would put them under the bed, which is exactly where he puts his tools. But what if he wants to get a bigger tool like a lawnmower? Where's he going to put that? It's really been bumming him out. None of that made any sense.
No.
And going by the end of the episode, he'll still have the same problem.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was just like a matter of like, oh, I don't have a shed. I think it all roots back to my dad and my toys. Like, what? Wait, what?
Also, like, are we supposed to also think that he's like a big handy person? Is that like the thing too, where like he also is like,
He fixed the bed.
I don't think he fixed the bed. I don't think the bed was broken. I think he just had a hammer in his hand and lifted the bed up 3 times.
It was
for no
creaky.
reason.
It was creaky when he walked in.
They really didn't finish on that whole story, though. Like, I don't know if he fixed it. I would have preferred if he left it and the bed collapsed or something. So it just shows he's a shitty handyman.
Right.
Just give me that. Like,
Well, if anybody listening has watched the entire series of this and they pay off any of this, please DM Gordo.
And then if Gordo ever watches this, he'll let you know.
Yeah, so when Gordo lies about watching this and somehow greenlights it anyway, we'll find out what's happening.
Chelsea's phone goes off and she runs to another room, and it's her boyfriend Dwayne. And she's telling him how much he can't stand everybody and wants to know, like, if he can fly over a day earlier. And that's when he tells her that he's not going to be heading that way because he just got offered a position at Harvard. And she's really excited, like, oh, this is everything we've ever worked for, telling him about her plans to meet him. And you get the, what? So, we know where this conversation's going. But instead of seeing that resolve there, it cuts to Claire, who's waiting on a table, and she hands a woman who just ordered the seasonal vegetable salad a giant steak. And when the girl corrects her, she's like, oh, I always confuse those two, the salad and the steak. Before heading off to replace it and fix it, she asked the customer, like, oh, like, how did your job interview go? So this customer's like amazed that Claire remembered that she had a job interview. And apparently is so taken back by that and happy about the personal connection that she goes, you know what? I've been vegan for 9 years. I could use the iron. And just decides to eat the steak. I did like that exchange. For whatever reason, I did like that. I think it would have worked on a different show.
the stupidity of that exchange gave me a headache.
Yeah, I will say I've been vegetarian 2 different times in my life. Not vegan ever, but 2 different vegetarian stretches for a year at a time. And the first time I caved out of being vegetarian was for steakums. It wasn't anything as good as like a real steak. It was a friend of ours' mom was making steakums and I was drunk and everyone was like, were you not gonna eat the steakums? I was like, those smell so good. The next day I was so sad that is what caused me to like break being vegetarian. Now I can't eat most things in the world, so I could never be vegetarian again.
It wasn't even delicious chicken parm. It was steakums.
Right, like it should have been like the world's biggest chicken parm.
We're not going to have this argument, but there's world for all different types of parm.
There is, yes. What exactly is steakums? I feel like that's one of those things I've heard
It's like
a bunch.
it's
I've
like
never
steak and cheese.
It's like frozen steak,
it's
shaved steak.
Yeah, it's frozen thin, like paper thin slabs of meat that you can like heat in seconds.
I have some in
Okay.
my freezer.
Yeah, like if it's not like the worst thing in the world or anything. It's just not what you would purposely have if you hadn't had meat in a year.
If you want to make a steak and cheese at home in like 2 minutes, then you use Steakums. So Chelsea walks out and she tells everyone, I just got dumped by Dwayne. And Jaden goes, The Rock Johnson?
Again, one of the only other. This was the second line that actually gave me a giggle. First being the salad one, but this was it though. That was the last one.
I didn't mind this. I didn't find it to be that funny, but I didn't hate this one.
I thought it was funny.
I just hate that the character is so dumb she only knows one Dwayne. Or thinks there's like one person named Dwayne in the whole world. What about Dwayne Wayne from Another World? 90s sitcom. The one with the Bill Cosby spinoff with Cosby coming back tonight.
Are you drowning? What was that?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of anything else. You should just be happy that Casper Jackson hasn't made an appearance tonight because it's really close to happening.
You can't go 3 weeks in a row with Casper Jackson.
From this scene, we cut to Chelsea, who's back in her room packing while venting to her sister. As she's packing, she's like, I don't even know why I'm packing up my stuff. I don't know where I'm going. I just graduated. I don't have a job. I can't show my face back there. Basically said that they're going to think of her as some sort of a pariah. And her sister's like, you're nothing like a piranha.
I fucking knew it. She said pariah, and I was like, 2, 1, go.
And then, as Claire's thinking about it, realizes her sister is kind of like a piranha. But Claire's telling her sister, like, hey, this is like a good thing. Like, he's a jerk, and now, you know, you can move in here, and we can continue with this SBFF bonding. And we can eat pizza, drink wine, and watch The Princess Diaries 2 on Molly. And Chelsea snaps at her, and she's like, I don't want to do any of this. And kind of goes on about how her sister is, like, always had it easy and lives in this alternate universe where everything's so easy and, you know, everyone loves her, which gets cut off by the sounds of Grant having sex. But I kind of felt in this moment where Chelsea's being, like, mean to Claire, like, why? Like I get you're upset about your situation.
I agree.
But
I don't
Right.
understand where this came from.
they made that character, like, she was supposed to be the relatable one, I felt like, when you walked into this world of, like, she's, like, almost walking into, like, the Barbie world. And I thought Claire was supposed to be, like, a little bit more of the one you relate to, but then they go against that.
That was my issue. I didn't find anybody on this show relatable.
Right.
Like, I thought they overdid it with her, like, intellectual shit, and then I
Right.
think they overdid it with the dumb people.
And they made her so unlikable at first that why would you like her when she tries to redeem herself? It doesn't work.
Right.
It's, I don't know, the way it was structured, I think there needs to be a character that you're following along that you, like, because everyone's so extreme. So there had to be someone that you could, like, kind of, you know, gravitate towards.
This is where the lovable butler would come in, and when he would have told her, you know, she
Why do you
works all
want a
these
butler
shifts.
on this show so bad?
Because the house is so clean, and they should be messy kids.
Or the landlord who lives upstairs a la Three's Company. He comes downstairs and he's like, what are you kids doing? And that's when he overhears Grant being like, here we go. He like fucking all that's the sex scene in the background, which is the only actual laugh I got in this entire episode.
Claire goes on to say that it's not her fault that she's nice and that people like her. She says to her sister, like, have you ever noticed how hard I work? And Claire tells her how she's been working since she was 16. And at that same time, their parents were letting Chelsea do whatever she wanted, which Chelsea justifies by saying how she was in some weird debate team. But point proven at this point. She's saying that, like, she's kind of accusing Claire of having this picture-perfect life, but Claire actually does work, moved out, like, made this life for herself, and Claire's just kind of been, like, she never really had to work at all. She's been just buried in school up until this point of her life.
Yeah.
We're to assume the parents paid for all the college, right?
It sounds it. It sounds like she's kind of been,
Yeah.
like, just allowed to do as she chooses.
They really don't give her a redeeming quality.
No.
No, not really.
No, she's a bitch from the beginning.
Yeah, and she seems like even outside of this existence that we're seeing, she's just like some sort of fucking useless succubus anyways. Like, no job. She's awful.
And I didn't like this either, because this is when Claire is telling her sister, I thought this was going to be a moment. I thought you coming here for a few days was going to be our chance to finally reconnect. And Chelsea's like, I didn't choose to stay here. I literally called everybody I knew in LA before I called you. Why are you telling her this? What did she do
Yeah,
to you?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Again, to what end? Why are you just being so mean to your sister now?
You're being
This is-
mean to her for no reason. Like, where did this argument even spawn from?
Okay, ready? She has a broken heart, and she's projecting on somebody, all right?
Yeah.
Good writing.
Yeah. I thought she was laying it down a little too heavy on her sister, who's only been nice to her this whole episode.
It's also a really weird thing to be like, do we like this character? And then she goes, it's not my fault that I'm nice and people like me. Like, the most I don't want to like that person sentence you could ever say. Like, both sides of this are so abysmal.
No, because the way she said it wasn't in that type of way. She's like a genuinely nice person, and people gravitate towards that. That's not like a negative quality.
I mean, I think that we're all nice people and people like us, but we would never say that out loud because we're not shitheads.
You just said it.
But she's coming in defense to what her sister's saying to her. Her sister's being like, you live in this perfect world where everybody likes you. And she's like, because I'm nice to people, as opposed to you, you know?
Daddy spent all the puff paint money on your college, and now I'm stuck here living with influencers in this $10,000 a month apartment in Los Angeles.
I think you are starting to let your hatred of this show cloud every little detail of it.
Puff paint, puff paint, puff the magic. I just don't even think about the show anymore. I'm sorry. I'm literally losing my mind about this.
It's kind of strange they made the smart one, though, one that got to do whatever she wanted and not be the hard worker, and then the ditzy one worked her ass off. It's usually the other way around on sitcoms, like, for example, Modern Family, the Dumpy kids, like, Alex is the smart one. She works hard, never stops and everything, and I can't remember the other sister's name, but she's one who just does whatever she wants, never works hard.
But she redeems herself. Her arc actually is a redemption arc, and you genuinely like her. She's never mean or never that bad to a point where you're like, you don't want to be on her side.
So now, obviously, Claire is very upset by this onslaught that her sister's giving her for no reason. And she says, like, do you know why I wanted to make puffy paint shirts? Because we did it on my 7th birthday. And it was my favorite memory of us before you stopped paying attention to me.
Does anyone take a guess what year her 7th birthday was, by the way?
I'm going to guess 9/11.
I mean, it was the year of 9/11. I wasn't going to bring that up. It was March, so I wasn't going to bring it up. But it was 2001. Which is just one of those things that as we get older and keep covering these shows where I'm like, oh my god, that girl was 7 in 2001.
That's not as crazy as, like, that only makes her, like, 7, 8 years younger than us. That's nothing, like, wild compared to other things we've seen.
No, it's not the worst, but, like, you know, we were in high school at that point.
But we see things now where people were born in that year, and that's wild to me.
Right, that was even worse, yeah.
And those people are in their 20s, so...
Nothing will throw you off more than when you're at the liquor store or whatever, and it says, like, you can only buy alcohol if you were born by this date, and then you start doing the math and being like, hubba. That sounds so fucking crazy now.
Claire says to her, you think I'm dumb? Like, I have a job and a place to live, and I love my life. Like, what do you have?
I was on Claire's side here. At least they gave this character some actual, you know, oomph to it and to give her some agency.
Claire needed to be more, not like this, but less ditzy the whole way through. Like I said, if they just dialed down these characters a little bit, and she could have been bubbly and stuff, but had a little bit to her. But up until, like, this point here, she came off so, like, just legit, like, a one-dimensional character, like a lot of them.
Again, I go back to Friends. You have the bubbly kind of ditzy character, but she's not like this, right?
Grant walks in after Claire leaves with the 2 girls that he was having sex with and shows them to the door. And as they leave, he looks at Chelsea and goes, you just never know who you're going to meet at the grocery store.
I do appreciate, too, that it goes, I'm proud of all of us to the girls as they leave. But I could tell that I was really mad about this show because I didn't even like try to IMDb who these people were. Basically, if I don't think you had a chance of being on Mantis at this point, I don't care about IMDb.
This show came out a little late for any Mantis tie-ins.
You never know. It could have been like a director of photography. I've gone deep on certain episodes when I have a lot of extra time where I'll be like, I don't know, music supervisor's about 70. Maybe he was around for a Mantis episode.
So now we cut to later on and Chelsea's on the couch calling apartments despite not having any money to pay for rent and is offering Latin lessons. And it's like, your character should be too smart to be in a dumb situation like this.
That dumb? Yeah. Or you know what you could do is get a fucking job.
Yeah. But she's looking to move out right away because she's on the outs with her sister. But literally has nobody left to turn to. But yeah, regardless, Grant's at the table eating a rotisserie chicken. It's like plated well. It's not like I've ate my share of rotisserie chickens and they never leave the plastic. But he has his set up very nicely.
I like that you eat everything like broken up with Andy Bernard in the last season of The Office. You eat over a sink like a rat for some reason.
If you had any idea how many meals I eat, like, over the sink. But while he's sitting at the table, that's when Jaden walks up. He's like, hey, I have something I want to show you. And they head outside, and we find out Jaden bought him a shed. And it's a fucking giant shed.
Sheds aren't cheap, by the way. A big shed like that. There's a lot of places around here who make, like, custom sheds like that.
Like Reed's Ferry?
Yeah, things like that. They're thousands and thousands of dollars. And this one has, like, built-in shelves and everything in it. He's making a lot of money influencing.
And he got it from a guy who looked like Paul Giamatti.
Yum.
Yum. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand the yum.
I don't know. I kind of like the because at least that dude's like into. I don't know. Like if you're gonna give, I love the celebrity of like, and also give Paul Giamatti a bone. He's very funny. He's great. WNBC. Paul Giamatti can get a yum.
I'm
all day
watching
long.
Billions right now. He's like the main character. He is very good. But I'm also looking on Amazon. The shed that they have sells for about $3,400.
It's a lot of influence.
Also, how quickly did he get this shed?
Also, it came pre-built, so that would have been like a truck with a crane.
Yeah.
That's the suspension of disbelief.
Also, it's a rental property. You can't just put a big shed on a rental property's backyard.
I don't know if I was the owner, I'd be pretty pumped. I'm like, that's an expensive ass shed. Thanks.
Unless they took it with them. Then they just killed your grass.
So Chelsea walks out and she's amazed, and Grant's like, well, your friends would do the same thing. And she's like, nope, that's not true. And has the realization that, like, you know, she has nowhere to go, nowhere to turn to.
This is where I got diverted, where she's like, I've got nowhere to go and nowhere to turn to. And I was like, oh, she's gonna have a shed apartment. I really thought that's where this was going.
I didn't think that.
I thought it
I
right
thought
away.
that's where they were gonna, because I saw the shelves and stuff pre-built in there.
That's what
And
I
I was like,
thought
he's
too,
gonna
yeah.
be like, look, you can put your books up there. You can put your Proust up there or whatever. Like, I really thought that's where it's going.
That is where it went.
No, they make the shed a bar.
It's like a
No,
hangout.
that becomes her room. That's why it's
No.
the shed room, because shed
Yeah, they
rhymes
make
with
the
bed.
shedroom bedroom joke.
They said it was a hang zone.
They said it was a
They're
hang
hanging
zone.
there, but it's her bedroom. There's a bed.
She has
Yeah.
a bedroom. She was in
They
a
have a
room
guest
earlier.
room though.
No, that was the other girl's bed.
Listen, the only way we're gonna find out is if we watch episode 2.
Don't make me hate watch this.
Jay's gonna watch it, Ferg. Don't worry. Jay will report back next week.
All right, Ferg, if you want to be wrong, then go ahead and not watch it. But
After Jay gets shadow banned from every cast member of the show, he will have seen episode 2 and he can confirm back to us.
Grant's telling her about how upset he was about not having a shed, and now he has one. But it's not about the shed, it's about the tools inside. And he's accidentally using metaphors to help Chelsea realize that she's been focusing on the wrong things and needs to focus more on like friendships and connections and things like that. The way that scene played out, because he was going on about it, and she's like, are you trying to tell me through metaphors? And he's like, I don't know. But we then cut to later in the evening, and Chelsea's in the living room with Puffy Paint Shirt Station, and she's working on something when Claire walks in. And then Chelsea starts to tell the story about when they last made the shirts together, and how when her sister made her Puffy Paint Pen shirt, she accidentally got Cheeto dust on hers, and she was upset. So Chelsea ends up putting Cheeto dust on her shirt too, so, you know, they would match.
This is slightly relatable, but more interesting. This year, it's like Cheetos. You remember Crunch Gators? They're like
What?
the Fritos.
That's not a real thing.
It's a real thing. It existed for a
Oh
period of
yeah,
time.
crunch gators. I always eat those when I watch. I forgot the movie, so forget my joke.
They're the snack that Kevin McAllister's eating in Home Alone, but he has all the ice cream around him. It's like a short-lived 90s Fritos snack. But for Christmas this year, they're bringing them back, and you can only buy them at the Dollar General. So if anybody wants Crunch Gators, we can go to a
They're
Dollar
actually
General.
called Crunch Taters, but there's a gator on it.
Oh, well, again, they're from 1991, so my brain
That's
doesn't
why I
have all of the
didn't remember it.
information.
You misspoke.
Lay's Crunch Taters, yeah.
In fairness, I didn't know what Crunch Taters were either.
I just always do them because they're the thing that's on his table in when it's the first Home Alone when he's like, "Mom, I'm eating junk," and blah blah. Yeah, Crunch Taters. Yeah, the gator is on the bag though, but they're coming back this year. I think they're mesquite flavored.
They look like Fritos.
Well, it's a Frito product. It's a Frito Lay product.
After reviewing that story about when they were younger and what Chelsea did for her sister, Claire's like, you were so sweet back then. Why'd you stop? What did I do wrong? And again, I think like this more realistic version of the character is pretty good.
And a little too much too late.
Yeah, too much too late.
Wait, this is just the plot of Frozen.
I've never seen Frozen.
Elsa gets locked in her, locks herself in her room to protect her from her powers. And she's always knocking on the door because they were playing before. It's like, do you want to build a snowman? She won't come out, all that. And she thinks she hates her.
I was literally thinking of the Ray Romano movie. I was totally thinking of something different. I was so excited to be like, Raymond, we're frozen in time. Which one is the Ray Romano one?
Ice Age.
Ice Age. Yeah, I think you're talking about Ice Age. I was like, this is gonna be fun. I want to watch Ice Age. Frozen. What is Frozen?
You say what is Frozen?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, ice.
It's a Disney movie, and it made $1 bajillion.
I'm not trying to be funny here. I don't know what that one was. Is it like a what's the? I'll look it up later. I'm just keep going. I don't want to deal with whatever's gonna happen here.
You've got like nieces and nephews, right?
I do. I watched the Addams Family with them recently.
You know
If any
that
was
song
Addams
"Let
Family.
It Go"? It was super popular. That's from Frozen.
He definitely does not know that.
I have no idea what that is. I'm not trying to be funny. I really don't know. I'm still trying to work through the details of liking that song I sent you guys the other day. I can't go back in time 15 years and know stuff.
It's not 15 years. Might be at this point.
I don't know. Maybe? Prove me wrong. In the words of Seymour Skinner, prove me wrong, children.
So this is what I didn't like. So Chelsea's response to like, no, you didn't do anything wrong was, well, when mom and dad split up, dad would always call me and like put me in the middle of everything. And I didn't want you to have to be a part of that. So I distanced myself from you. It's like, what?
But also, what was he say? He's like, hi, sweetie, your mother's a whore. Like, what was the phone call we're supposed to expect happened here?
I've been the middleman in as a child of divorce, but
Did you protect your brother?
that's what I was never like, I can't talk to my brother anymore because I don't want him to have to be a part of this. Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I would say you were very close with your brother. That was never an issue.
Not when they were younger.
No, we're younger. No. But when I hear this excuse, right? Like, okay, they have to create a reason why she didn't talk to her or whatever happened. This wasn't it. This was just a really bad way to word around that.
It also doesn't explain why she didn't talk to her after they both left the fucking house, too. So
Yeah.
she's no longer protecting her from their parents fighting.
Yeah,
Right.
like the parents ended up divorcing, and then like they always put me in the middle, and I didn't want you to have to deal with that, so I just abandoned you and left you by yourself. So
We're in our 30s now.
yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like that excuse because that reasoning should be very important to the story, and they used a terrible out. But
No, she's completely redeemed now. She's not a bitch after all.
They just, yeah, again, we said it a minute ago, but too little too late. Like, this should have, like, I can't even, I just can't not make noises. I don't know.
Those are certainly noises.
So, my brain is so much pain right now. I think I've got a piranha migraine happening right now, and I can't.
she then shows Claire the shirt that she made, and she tried to match the original Claire shirt from when she turned 7 with Cheeto dust and all.
Do you think they used real Cheeto dust, or do you think they Cheetoed and used orange paint?
I think they
Orange
cheated.
paint.
They definitely cheated on that one.
I'm a little upset all the times I've spilled ketchup and barbecue sauce on my shirt. None of you have rubbed it on your shirt to make me feel better.
All the
You're
time-
terrible friends.
All the times Ferg thrown up in a giant bucket. We never threw up in a giant bucket. To show you how we were friends.
Technically, Chris did years later.
That's true. It was a long time.
I mean, I can't, because I don't like it, in solidarity. I'm sure Joe has a bunch of shirts with mustard on them, and I can't.
I do, because it's real hard to get mustard off a shirt. That's one of those things where I'm not
Hammy
the Simpsons
mustard
again. They're like, oh,
shirts.
you'll never get chocolate out. Like getting mustard on a shirt, you're like, that's it. Did that shirt. Now it's a sleep shirt.
The two sisters tell each other how much they missed one another and have a nice hug. And we cut to later, and all the housemates are together in the new shed wearing puffy paint shirts. I think missed opportunity. Chelsea's didn't have any Cheeto dust. She should have matched her sister like originally.
Or like they should have had different things on the shirts too, not just their names. Like they could have been like a personality trait or something. Like they could have tried to work a joke in here.
Would have needed personalities for that.
Well, the influencer guy though, his shirt could have said like Gucci on it or something, right? Like he could have been like such a fucking influencer dildo that he had to put,
his
like a brand
his
on
tag
it.
name. Like he had his handle.
The muscle guy it only said his name, and it was in terrible handwriting.
That is fun. It should have like a backwards R or something. Yeah.
He should have drew his to look like a tank top, but like on the t-shirt, like drew the lines.
Wasn't there a wrestling shirt like that when we were kids that was drawn like a tank top? It was on a regular shirt.
Well, there was the Stone Cold vest
I was gonna say
one.
Ferg had one that looked like a
right.
vest.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Jay bought it for me.
Did I get you that one?
You got me the white one with the vest for
The
my
one that
birthday.
had that made noises, right?
I don't think it made noises.
I think I got you one that had like a sound box attached to it.
Yeah, perfect for the washer machine, an electric sound box, and a cotton
Hey, man.
t-shirt.
We're not thinking ahead when we're 12.
No, I just mean them. Like, it's such an obvious, like, fuck you move from the WF to be like, you'll love this shirt, you'll wear it, you'll wash it once, it'll explode, and you'll have to buy another one. It's
Buy
kind
more
of a genius
sound
evil
shirts.
move. Yeah.
How did Ferg's mom get electrocuted?
You're right. Folding the laundry. Oh, no.
What kind of battery would you think is in that shirt? It can electrocute my mom.
Strong one, damn it.
Yeah.
It was the 90s, man. Things were different.
So now they're all hanging out in the shed, which is going to be dual use because there are some tools in there and stuff. And there is the joke where Chelsea refers to it as the shed room, which everyone found hilarious. So it
Because
really,
it's her bedroom.
Yuck.
I don't think it is. I really don't think it is.
Why not? What weird? The bed she was in was her sister's bed, wasn't it?
No, she was like, "This is your room." Like,
Did
this
they
is-
say guest room?
They
Yeah.
said guest room. That's why I don't think it's her bedroom.
And there was no bed in the shed room.
There was a table and chairs, and then, like,
They were sitting on a bed.
No, and they refer to it as like the new hang zone.
Could have been like a pull-out couch.
they weren't sitting on a bed. They were sitting on chairs around a table.
Well, listen, when Ferg watches episode 2, he can let us know.
No, you like this show. You're watching episode 2. No denial. He just went on.
No, we're gonna vote on the show later. Claire gets up to make popcorn, and Solana and Jaden get up with her to help because that's a 3-person job. And before Jaden leaves, he tells Chelsea that, we need to get you on Insta. And again, Chelsea's talking about how she has no interest in social media. And once he leaves, Grant looks at Chelsea and's like, "You're on social media, admit it," which was like an odd assumption. But that's when she admits that she's addicted to Instagram and is a huge fan of Jaden's and is the reason that she bought the lip balm that she uses.
I hated this character so much, and then they did this, and I was like, oh, you found a way for me to hate you more. Great.
I don't mind this reveal that she does use Instagram and that she knows who Jaden is. I didn't like the whole Grant, like, out of nowhere going, "You use social media, admit it." It was just too random to get to this point, and it should have just been like, there should have been a different way to reveal that, other than I have a weird suspicion that you use social media.
Do you think that maybe he Instagram found her, or he was, like, looking for her, and, like, that's a thing he knows now?
If he had said, if they had walked off and then he said, "If you don't have social media, how come I just got a notification that someone in my contacts has Instagram?" Like that would have been fine. But this whole, like, the way it was
Why not just get a
presented-
friend request from Puffy Paint 87? I know that's you, Claire, or Chelsea, or whatever C name
I
you
think
are.
there would have been a better way to get to that. And I just think that it was a really lazy way for her to admit that she has Instagram.
Also, if she's a fan of his, why is she so stuck up around him from the get-go?
She's hiding it all.
Because she goes to Harvard.
Listen,
and
the
she
writing's
can't
not
like
great,
that.
and that's why. It's because of bad writing.
No, Jay, stop. Don't say that about this show. It's not true.
Also, I was right. They're not sitting in chairs. They're sitting on a couch, which could be her bed. I just checked.
Okay, Nick, I think, is trying to figure this out for us.
But it's still a couch. It's still.
I'm still leaning on in this episode.
looks like
I
a
don't get
futon.
enough evidence.
She talks about how Instagram's her guilty pleasure, and Grant goes, "Why would you feel guilty about a pleasure?" And that's fair. Like, the guilty pleasures like thing, is a common term, but like at the end of the day, like, what if it makes you happy? Who gives a shit?
Sure, and I do appreciate, like, if you're doing, like, the modern culture thing too. Like, I think that we live in a better time now for certain things, like people not being, like, afraid to be who they are for sexuality reasons or whatever, and, like, saying something like, "Why would you be guilty about pleasure if it's a pleasure?" Like, I think that's, like, a very, like, modern, open way of looking at things, like, and that's good. But again, don't give him one good, like, realistic, understandable, you're supposed to relate to this guy line with 8 seconds left to go on this show when you've hated him for 21 and a half minutes or whatever.
And we're setting up a weird love triangle situation here now because Grant tells Chelsea that he wants to tell her, like, a secret and says, I'm really looking forward to getting closer to you. I really want to get closer to the woman I love's sister. And while he's saying this, like, the way it was delivered, Chelsea's getting closer and closer to Grant and looks really smitten by him. So now as we're revealing that she's kind of into Grant reveals to her that he's in love with her sister.
And Claire just got stuck in the microwave making the popcorn, and now he's gonna go make sure it's taken care of.
And Chelsea was like, "I thought the breakup was mutual." He's like, it was, but only for her.
I hated this. We didn't need a fucking love triangle.
Oh, you thought the merit of everything else on the show was going to be enough to carry it through?
They're trying to make it more complicated. They're adding more layers.
You can't be mad at a show for trying to add layers.
I get out of this show, we're trying to add them this late into the episode.
I was gonna say, you can't be one-dimensional the entire show, and then in the last 2 minutes add like layers and try to be deep.
I mean, I guess they're trying to be like, are you going to watch it next? You're going to watch the next episode? That's probably why I guess they would do it, and that's their reasoning. I'm sure this is all like algorithmic or something, but I don't think it works.
Again, Joe, I think you have reached a point of hatred for the show that there's literally nothing they could do without you ripping it to shreds. Because there are a couple times where there was like a logical line or something funny. And again, I'm not saying this is a good show. I'm not.
I think you are.
Yeah, I think you like
You
it.
have a shit-eating grin on your face every time you talk about the show.
I'm back. It is not the bedroom.
Of course it wasn't.
It took
That's right.
the last scene of the second episode to find that I just had to skip through. And
Then you know what? I hate the shed room joke now.
right, what the fuck does it mean now? What did it ever mean? I guess.
It just rhymes with bedroom. It was just a joke.
It should have been JJ and Grant and him being like, I can't believe you gave me shed. That would have been a joke that would have worked, but we didn't do
What?
that. You don't think you gave me shed or you gave me great shed? There's so many things you could do with that joke that would have been fun and funny. Funnier.
All right. Well, in any event, the other three all return from this 3-person popcorn making extravaganza. And as they sit down, they're like, all right, it's popcorn time. But the rule is you can only eat popcorn if someone else throws it into your mouth.
Oh, pardon me. How did they describe the popcorn they made?
I don't remember.
Extra sugar.
Oh,
Oh, kettle corn, yum.
I don't like kettle corn.
But it's not kettle corn. It's regular popcorn.
Fuck you!
They
You don't
just
like
poured-
kettle corn. If somebody put a bucket of kettle corn in front of you, you're not
You would
going to eat half
inhale
of
it.
it.
I don't like it. I have a bunch of kettle corn, like
Shut up.
microwave
You're eating
popcorn that have been sitting for years because I don't like kettle corn.
I have a big flat top skillet, and you can buy kettle corn sugar, like specifically made for making kettle corn out of regular popcorn. And I keep meaning to get it and try it because it does look. You just like put a bunch of popcorn kernels and this like sugar on this thing, and you like spin it around on the flat top, and it makes kettle corn when it pops. Seems really good.
See, I'm intrigued by that, and I want to know a report when you're done doing that. However, if you just pour sugar, if you were just like Colonel Poppington's popcorn and you poured a bunch of sugar on it, you would not like it.
No.
But it's another joke to like the very end to be like, she's dumb. Like they have to fucking end the episode with being like, she's fucking dumb. Popcorn sugar.
She's pretty dumb.
So now they're all throwing popcorn into each other's mouths, and even Chelsea plays along. So episode ends with her catching one in her mouth, and everyone's cheering. And
How
that
many
was it.
takes do you think that took? Because they all successfully did it.
No, Grant missed one.
Did he? Because I know she caught it, and the first couple did.
Yeah, no, he missed.
Can you imagine there's like a guy with like a $5,000 a day steady cam, like a fucking Scorsese film, just doing the circle, trying to get everybody, and they just keep fucking up, and Netflix is just going in the fucking red over and over again. And they go to title card, which they don't do at the beginning of the episode, which I think is a poor choice.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that there was. So we've talked about intro versus no intro, but we always get at least the title card early in the episode with like even if there's no flash of music or nothing, but there was nothing. It just the show just started, which was very weird.
Was there any music in the episode?
Probably like public domain, like like transitional music,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that was that's the whole episode. I don't personally have any additional information on the show. Joe, I don't know if you had any fun notes.
Well, I'm trying to look up anything else I had. Nope. We talked about everything. I really had to mine some interesting stuff for this because there's not a lot to talk about. And I talked about OJ already, so yeah, I'm pretty good to just fucking end this bullshit.
All right, well, we might as well just jump into the green light or cancel at this point. Again, we're short one person, so Gordo's vote will be included on a graphic that we'll have on our Instagram. That's, again, at S1E1 Pod. So go ahead and give us a follow there. I do have a suspicion that his vote won't necessarily matter. I don't think we're going to be in a tiebreaker situation. But in the interest of that, let's get into it now. Ferg, I'm starting with you.
I have a big angry tirade, but I'm gonna give it to Joe to do. But it's a hard cancel for me. every one of these characters made me roll my eyes. The good characters, I rolled my eyes. The smart character, I rolled my eyes. We discussed it earlier. None of them had a personality other than their one quality. Like, I'm the smart, dumb one. They're all the dumb one. It's just a bad show with bad writing. So yeah, hard cancel.
Joe.
Yeah, look, it's bland, it's banal, it's fucking awful. This is the worst kind of show, and it's a bummer because you always think about how there's like all these scripts out there for really good things that never get made, right? And you hear for years and years from movies and TV shows, I was like really interesting projects. And instead, this stuff just gets pushed to the forefront because it's just easy to digest. The problem with this is people like us right now are talking, we make jokes about like Full House or Step by Step or things like that, Family Matters, whatever, because it lives in your brain. It's good enough that you can watch it and you don't look at your phone. Or there wasn't a phone then, whatever. But like you paid attention and these things absorbed into you. Shows like this are literally meant to just play next episode, play next episode, play next episode. And you'd be like, yeah, I watched 11 episodes of that. And then 2 years from now, be like, what was that show about? And you'd be like, I don't know. Because nobody gives a shit. Quality control is at an ultimate low. This is complete horseshit. It's nothing against people who are in it. I don't want people to like be like, oh, do you hate the actors? I don't. It's a job. You're working. Good for you. And I hope you get to do this forever because that's amazing and everyone go for it, right? But this is fucking garbage. This is painful to watch. It's painful to listen to. And I hate that I couldn't be a regular person who just got to look at my phone. I had to do 3 pages of notes about this show. I had to look up people in this. I had to look up facts about Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3 while doing this episode. This was painful for me. I'm so mad I had to watch this. Jay, please let me know how episode 2 is. It's a cancel.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, Joe did a pretty good job explaining it. It's just not a good show. Like, I'm not going to get into depth about why. It's unoriginal. It's poorly done. It's just bad. It's not a fun watch. Again, this is sometimes my only positive thing. If I have to pick something positive, I would say the characters did well with what they had, I guess. You know, I don't think any of them stood out as being like bad actors, which I guess is the only nicer thing I can say about it. But other than that, not fun to watch. Don't care what happens next. This is hopefully it's canceled already or gets canceled soon or whatever. Who cares? But cancel.
Yeah, so listen, I know you guys think I'm gonna greenlight it, and I'm not. I'm not gonna greenlight this.
Ooh.
My only thing with the show is I feel like the structure was there. It could have been a decent show, but those, like I said over and over again, the characters were too extreme. They were just all too one-dimensional, very cartoony characters. And if we take those basic archetypes of like the framework of who everyone is, and we boil it down and make them a little bit more realistic, I think this show could work. But that's not what happened here. So everyone came off as unrealistic, and the situations weren't relatable, and it just didn't land. So no, it's a cancel for me as well. And Gordo's vote, again, isn't going to affect the overall outcome. I would be interested to know.
Which is probably
what
for the
he thinks.
best.
I would like to hear, I'm excited to hear what he thinks about it, though.
So that'll, again, be out.
You mean what he pretends to think about it?
Yes. So on S1E1 pod just S1E1 pod on Instagram, that's where you'll see the graphic, where it will have the final results for this with his vote included. But regardless of that, you still already got 0 out of 4, which means that, sorry to Pretty Smart, you do not live on to see episode 2 with us. You've been canceled. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. Again, S1E1pod.com is where you can find all the links, where you can listen to us, where you can subscribe on our social medias. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple. If you do and prove it, we will follow you on any social media as a way of saying thank you. But until then, catch you again in another week with another new episode. Thank you. Goodbye.
Think we got the best Princess of Liechtenstein? Fuck, now I hated this so much.